In this video series, I'm going to help you convert your Scratch or Snap skills into JavaScript, the programming language of the internet. If you don't know Scratch or Snap, that's perfectly fine because I'm going to explain everything you need to know from the very beginning, so you too can learn how to code and think like a programmer. Humans give computers instructions to follow in code. We use programming languages such as JavaScript, Java, Python, Swift, Scratch, or Snap to write this code. But behind the scenes, the computer is translating the programming language code into machine instructions that it can follow. Code allows us to solve problems and share those solutions with others in the form of apps, websites, or games. So let me set up a situation that came up the other day that we're going to code a solution for over the next few videos. I was eating dinner with my friends at a restaurant, and at the end of the night, the server dropped the bill off. We needed to figure out how much each person should pay. Now, before you say anything, yes, I know that we could have taken out a calculator and done the math, but I think it'll be so much cooler to code a solution to this problem ourselves instead. So here's what I'm thinking for version 1 of our program. First, we'll have the program ask the user how much the total bill was. Next, we'll ask how many people were in the party, and we have to find a way to record both responses. Lastly, behind the scenes, the program is going to calculate a 20% tip to add to that total and divide by the number of people to determine how much each should contribute. A calculator can't do that automatically. You're going to have to do some math. There are a few things that we first need to learn about JavaScript in order to create this program. Remember I said that JavaScript is the programming language of the internet before? This means that we can run JavaScript in an internet browser. So let's create a simple website so that we can run our JavaScript. Now you don't need to learn HTML and CSS in order to do this. We can use a site that will create a development environment for us really easily. And that site is repl.it. Replid lets us quickly create a simple environment to code in without having to install a bunch of different languages or programs or anything like that. For our purposes right now, it'll be just fine. So if you go to repl.it, all you need to do is scroll to the bottom where you'll see the various programming languages that they have environments for. And while you may be tempted to select JavaScript, I actually want you to choose HTML, CSS, and JS first. In future videos, we'll go straight to JavaScript. Now I could create an account to save my work, but I'm just going to jump right into coding. On the left-hand sidebar, we see the files that make up this site. You can see an HTML file named index, a JavaScript file named script, and a CSS file named style. Programs can consist of thousands and thousands of lines of code, and having a file for each separate piece of our code can keep it a bit cleaner and easier to maintain if we have issues later on. In the middle, we can see the code of whichever file is currently open. And on the right-hand sidebar, we can see the website result that the given code will draw, or we can switch to the console window. More on that in just a moment. So first, let me add a heading to the HTML to show you that the result is directly reflected in the simulated browser window on the right. So I want to add a heading to the body of our HTML code. So I'm going to go inside of body. So I'm going to create a new line on line 10. And for a heading, I'm going to use an H1 tag. So I'm going to have an opening and a closing tag. And inside there, I just want to say this is the heading. And when I click run, we should see what the website would look like on the right side. Awesome. We just wrote a little HTML, but let's write our first line of JavaScript before we wrap up this video. We're going to write an instruction for the computer to display something to the console window. To tell us more about the history of the console window, let's hear from a professional JavaScript programmer.
Hi, I'm Dave. Google Chrome came out in 2008. Before that came out, back in the day when I wrote JavaScript, I had to make little pop-up boxes or make extra code to test out my code. There was no easy way to test. So they created this wonderful thing called the Chrome Developer Toolbar. And you've got the console, which is where you're going to spend most of your time. And in the console, you can do this command console.log. So as you write your code, you just print out as you go little commands. Like say you did an equation, you saved a variable. What's the variable? What's the contents of that variable? You can print it out in real time onto the console. So just wanted to give you a little heads up. This console is going to be really useful, and I'm really excited for your learning.
Thank you for that little bit of history, Dave. Now what we want to do is make sure that we are in the console window. So make sure you hit the console tab. And now we can start writing JavaScript. We have to select the script.js file. And right here is where we can type in our code. So let's write our first line of JavaScript. And what I want to do is I want to display hello world to the console. And to do that, we're going to use a special instruction called console.log and open and closing parentheses. And in there, I'm going to open and close quotes. I could use double quotes or single quotes. For now, I'll just use double quotes. And I'm going to type in hello, comma, world with an exclamation point. And at the end of this line, I'm going to add in a semicolon. And the semicolon tells the computer that we've ended a JavaScript statement or instruction. In the English language, we end our sentences with a period, but in JavaScript, we end our statements with a semicolon. And now when we hit run, the browser will run our JavaScript and it's going to say hello world in the console window. Congratulations, you just wrote your first little bit of JavaScript. In the next video, we're going to start fleshing out our tipping calculator by learning about variables. So stay tuned.